just say something.
My name is Iniso Affiah, and I wrote a book. It's called A Recollection of Recent Events. Testing, 1, 2.
What the world doesn't see is what you go through behind closed doors. They don't understand. They don't know. They don't understand. They don't know.
I wrote the book mostly because I felt like I had to. All through my life, and I feel like all through a lot of people's lives, people tell you that you can't do a certain thing, you can't accomplish a certain thing. I always wanted to write a book, something that I always wanted to do. When I got to this point, when I moved back to North Carolina, I didn't necessarily mean to write this book. And what I mean when I say that is that things change, things happen, and the circumstances that happen allow me to go through the experiences and live the life to actually be able to write the stories that I tell you. A lot of people also ask me, why did I write the book backwards? I did that because I think things are a lot more clear when you look at it in hindsight. And I wonder if you're living life and you see things in hindsight and you know how it's going to end, with all the little things that happen in the interim really matter. So there's a lot of times in the book where I'm at my worst, where I'm at my lowest. And if you read that at the beginning, you wouldn't understand how I could come up at the end and be perfectly okay. So I decided to start with me being perfectly okay, and then finishing at the end where you see kind of my decay and destruction. But from the start of the book, you know that everything is really okay. And I think that's how life is. Things work out. I think that it just felt more natural to say a certain person's name, and it felt more natural to not say a certain person's name. I use Jesse's name, I use Iman's name, and it just felt like I couldn't tell those stories without naming someone, even if I didn't use their entire name. And there was also parts where, I was talking about some of the kids that I tutored, or a certain situation with a girl that I'm no longer talking to or close with, so it didn't make sense to me to use an actual name. But I think the thing that's cool about it is I don't choose to use someone's name, and that means that they're more important, and exclude someone's name because they're not as important. There's a lot of important people where I never really say the name, they're just referenced, but you really have to pay attention throughout the course of the book. And someone's name I really do use a lot is Sierra Jones. And a lot of people ask me, why did you tell the story about Sierra Jones when it wasn't really a recent event? And I use Sierra Jones as the basis for everything that happened last year. Even though it didn't happen last year, you'll start to understand a lot of the things that I do and the way that I act because of that situation with Sierra Jones. I feel like everybody has had a Sierra. You meet someone and you catch feelings and you fall in love and you're young and you're dumb, and that's like your first true experience of that sort, and that kind of sets up who you are or who you will become off of that one person situation. And Sierra has always been that one person, so I felt like I couldn't really give you the story without talking about her.
In order for things to change, you have to be willing to grow. And in order for you to grow, you have to be willing to change. They go hand in hand. They are the one and the same. And I simply believe that who you are is a direct reflection of what you allow yourself to go through. Of course, through life, we may stumble upon hard times, because I've had my hard times. I've had my moments where I didn't know how I was going to pay my next bill. I've had my moments where I was stretching a meal for a week. I've had my moments where I didn't have any single person to turn to. I've had my moments where I was broken down, where I was torn, where I let every single person around me dictate how I felt. I let them make me cry. I let them make me mad. I let them make me sad. I let them do every single thing that they wanted to do to me. Why? Because I didn't understand that I was in control of my own destiny. And nobody has power over you unless you allow them to.
Love is a crucial part of what I talk about in all these stories. Whether it's with a girl, whether it's with my family members, but love is very important. And I wonder, what is love sometimes? I don't know, man. I don't really know what love is, because at each instance that I thought I had it rather, I guess it didn't really seem to be the case. Or other instances when I thought that I lost it, it came back. I think love now, more so nowadays, is an action more than an emotion. You can feel a lot of things for people, and those things can either grow or they can corrode. But I think with love, you make certain decisions. You choose to treat somebody this way. You choose to be around somebody. You choose to do things for people. Those choices that we make are guided out of love. So I used to have this thing where I felt like you could only be in love with one person. And I really did believe that for a long time. And maybe I'm petty, or, the things that have happened have changed my perception, but I don't really think so anymore. I don't think there's one person out there just for you. You have to find your one person and say that all the other people in the world are not important to me anymore, and I'm going to love this one person. Because when your eyes start to wander, you're going to feel something for somebody else. So I definitely do feel like love more so is a choice than anything else. There was, whichever. There were a lot of women I talk about in the book. Sometimes I wonder, why did I include so many women? And I just think it's like, I was busy last year. I was really, really busy. So sometimes I don't know if I went through all those situations because I was still kind of hurt and grieving from not being with my ex, or is this something that I always wanted to do because I was tied down in a relationship? And it wasn't even all just sexual. It was just, I liked being around women. I needed that connection, that attention. Like, I desired it. So, and it's weird because I didn't even write about the most important women that I dealt with in 2014. It's just that these specific stories just made sense. So there's a lot of women in the book because I was around a lot of women.
I've changed my attitude. I've changed so many things. I've changed that hard wall that's just up because I'm scared of all things. I'm scared of all people. I'm scared every single person is going to do the same exact thing to me all over again. And sometimes I'm right. And then those beautiful moments, I'm wrong.
And leaving me alone. She knows a woman's place. It's right there now in her home. I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh yeah.